What's up, you guys? Welcome to a supersized version of Single SmackDown. Now, if you've never seen Single SmackDown before, basically I take new singles from artists and compare them against each other and figure out which one reigns supreme. I do that on three metrics: lyrics and delivery, for which you can get 10 points, music and production, for which you can get 10 points, and then X Factor, which is kind of the conversation around a song, for which you can get 5 points. So 25 would be the best score you can get in this competition. And today we're not just doing it with 3 songs like usual, we're going to do it with 6 songs. Now, that doesn't mean this video is going to be twice as long as normal Single SmackDown. I actually want it to be a little bit shorter. Those things are a biatch to edit, and I'm going to really simplify the process and talk a little bit less about each one, just because who needs that much? So, without further ado, let's go. First one we're talking about today is Pretty Heart by Parker McCollum.
What does that say about me?
Parker McCollum's a guy out of Texas. So many of you have asked me to check Parker out. He's got this real fervor around him, same way that like Ko Wetzel does, same way maybe, who's another act out of Texas? Like Colby Cooper. A lot of you guys are like, you have to check him out. And Parker has recently signed a deal out in Nashville and is kind of going to get a push over there. And this was the first I'd listened to him, and I'm going to be honest, I don't quite get the hype. This song is fine, but it doesn't feel like some revelatory experience to have heard Pretty Heart. Now, this is a hashtag sad boys anthem. I get why fans of Ko Wetzel might also like Parker McCollum, because this is a song that's very hard on himself, and it's like, how did I break your pretty heart, and I've like hurt you, and it's very down on himself. Parker's voice, I think, is good. I don't think this song shows off a lot of it, but it kind of has like this Eric Church, a little bit nasally voice, which I think sounds fine. There's nothing bad about it. I think that lyrically, I like the perspective of the song, that he's kind of in this guilty spot. That's a sort of interesting perspective. But lyrically, we get some symbolism. He describes himself. He's standing there like a fence post. He's drinking like a drunkard. But there's not a lot of narrative, like storytelling imagery in the song. I feel like there's a difference between imagery and symbolism, and there's just symbolism in this song. And so I don't know, I'd say lyrics and delivery, I'll give it a 6. The sound of it is kind of languid and kind of monotonous, I would say. Like it's pretty mid-tempo, and I would say a sort of forgettable melody. So would just have to give it like a 5.5. Then X Factor points, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, because just in sheer buzz, Parker McCollum is huge. I feel like there is this wave of Texas, like, young dude passion around Parker McCollum, and he's a handsome guy, and I'm sure the ladies will love him too. And it's interesting that he's kind of crossing the bridge over to Nashville, and so I'll give it a 4 out of 5 in terms of X Factor. I don't think this is the song that's gonna make him happen. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll work on radio and the label knows something I don't, but for me, it just gets a 15.5 out of 25. Next up is Kelsea Ballerini's Homecoming Queen, or Homecoming Queen, since it has a question mark, or Homecoming Queen, because it's a question mark and lowercase.
What if you let 'em all in on the lie?
This is the launch single from Kelsea's third album. Kelsea has basically made a name for herself being the poppiest of a lot of sort of pop country, and she is sort of followed in the footsteps of Taylor Swift, but has stayed very much in this kind of high school mindset, and even the term Homecoming Queen is kind of keeping her in this a little bit juvenile lane. But I will say that I think that this is by far her most mature single she's ever put out. I think a lot of people will relate to this song. I think it's going to become an anthem for upper middle class, suburban, anxious girls that have it all together and are going to a really good school and feel really tightly wound. This is a song about like, it's okay for you to show your flaws. It's okay for you to not have it all together. Even the homecoming queen cries. And so I think actually a lot of girls will relate to this. And I appreciate that Kelsea is sort of unabashedly feminine in kind of how she presents and how she writes. I think like, you know, it might not be for me, but I actually am starting to really see kind of her vision for her career as it unfolds and respect it. Lyrically, I think this song is nice. Sometimes I think it's a little overly broad, and again, it doesn't feel rooted in narrative imagery so much as just like platitudes a little bit more. But I do think the lyrics ask a few good questions. I like when she says, what if you let them in on the lie? Because I think it really is revealing about the facades that can exist and how we present ourselves to the world. My favorite lyric in the song is definitely, nobody's feeling sorry for you. Because she's talking to this girl and saying, Nobody's feeling sorry for you. And you're kind of left with two takeaways from that line. One is, toughen up. Nobody's feeling sorry for you. And the other is empathy of like, I see that nobody's feeling sorry for you, and I guess you're left to fill in, and that makes me sorry for you. So I would give this a 6.5 out of 10 in terms of lyrics. Musically, I think the song's missing a hook. I don't think that it feels like, especially country, that's kind of par for the course. I do like that it's a lot more acoustic, but I think it's kind of missing a big, memorable hook. We just kind of flow from verse into chorus into verse, and there's not a major divide or a super catchy melody that makes you kind of remember, except for that very last line of the chorus, even the homecoming queen cries. It's subdued, it's patient, it's not what I would have expected from her right after Miss Me More, but I'm only going to give it a 5.5 out of 10 in terms of music. X Factor points, I'll give it a 3.5. I think it's a pretty cool thing for Kelsea to sort of go this more subdued route after having so much success going with this glossy pop route on Miss Me More. But at the same time, I'm like, we're still kind of in the high school imagery, and she's married now, and I just think it would be cool to see her kind of explore a little bit more mature of stuff. So overall, that gives this song 15.5. I did not plan this, but the exact same as Parker McCollum. Next up is Ashley McBryde's One Night Standards.
Let's just stick to the one night standards.
Now, you guys know I love Ashley McBryde. I think Girl Going Nowhere was a gem of an album, and this is going to be the follow-up to that, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. And I think One Night Standards is a great song. Her voice on it sounds so powerful, and she's just got such a strong voice, and it's such a good storytelling voice. It really commands attention. This is a song about her having one-night stands, not feeling great about herself doing it. It kind of reminds me of Leanne Womack's I May Hate Myself in the Morning, but I'm Gonna Love You Tonight. This song is kind of in a similar vein of shame and just, it is what it is. Now, when I talk about image-based storytelling, this song has a lot of it. We talk about there's no king bed covered in roses, just a room without a view. You know, so we're getting this portrait of a sad motel bedroom. Even a line like, I ain't gonna ask where your ring is. There's a whole story embedded in that one line. There's a lot of self-loathing in this song, words like, can't you just use me like I'm using you? There's a really awesome stanza in this where she says, I ain't Cinderella either, but who is? Call me what you want if the shoe fits. So we're getting like little allusions to Cinderella as she's sort of self-identifying as, you know, whatever you would call someone that's having this one-night stand, and that has one-night standards, low standards for herself. So this song is like sad and painful, but honest and just cool. And I think she delivers it super well. Lyrics and delivery, I think it's got to have an 8.5. I like a little more aspirational of lyrics, so that's why it doesn't get higher than that, but they're good. Musically, this song's really cool. I love the steel kind of adding this sad ambiance to the song. I like that kind of kick drum behind the chorus where the music drops out and it's just, let's just stick to the one night standards. It kind of feels intense, and then instead of crashing when you come back from the kick drum, it's just sort of languid and sad. I think it all really works. I don't think it is necessarily the most memorable hooky thing. It doesn't have that kind of sing-alongable catchy factor as much, but I'm still going to give music and production like a 7 out of 10. X Factor, I'm giving Ashley a 4 on this. Not just because I think her first album, like her first big major label album, was this big establishment of her street cred, of how talented she is, but because she's followed it up with something quality, and she was just invited to be the main opener on Luke Combs' next tour. As we all know, Luke Combs is kind of the king of the castle right now in country music, so I think it's pretty darn cool. So I'm giving her a 4 in terms of X Factor, which gives One Night Standards overall a 19.5. And that's a dang good score. Next up is Little Big Town's Over Drinking.
I'm over drinking over you.
I think this is a nice song from Little Big Town. I wasn't expecting it to be kind of this return to form for them. It's a little bit bluesier in its vibe, and we're getting away from that kind of 70s disco thing they've been obsessing over for a few years. And overall, I really liked it. The whole song rests on this hook of I'm over drinking over you. So obviously it's meant to be a double meaning of over drinking. I'm drinking too much, and I'm frustrated with myself and done doing that. So I'm over drinking over you. And I think that's a cool hook. It's definitely like a Nashville writer's song. Everything is kind of like a alcohol pun, and everything's a little bit tight in that way. And while that makes it really strong, you don't have that one shade of just sort of quirk or weirdness that make it feel personal to an artist, kind of like how Ashley McBryde was saying, like, I ain't Cinderella, but who is? That feels like something that's probably mostly something Ashley McBryde would say and not anyone else. This song is missing a little of that personalization, but it's a really well-written song, and I think it's delivered really well. So let's give it a 7 out of 10. I also think the music of this song is pretty good. The harmonies always sound good with Little Big Town, and they don't get into that sort of over-compressed sound that they often do when I feel like they're being recorded. The music is good and bluesy, so let's give it also a 7 out of 10. X Factor, I don't think there's much around Little Big Town at the moment. I don't think this song is making a big splash, and I wonder if they've kind of, their career is so weird. They'll just be gone for a few years and then have a big hit, and then be gone for a few years and then have a big hit. But I'll only give it a 2 out of 5 for X Factor, just because, I don't think it's on many people's radar. So overall, that gives Over Drinking a 16 out of 25, which seems low, because I like that song more than just a half point more than the Parker McCollum song, but whatever. It's my weird scoring system, and we're going with it. Next up, we got Jason Aldean's We Back. We back, we back, we back in the speakers, back in black. This song is A, not for me, and B, one of these songs that Jason Aldean has really kind of grown into as his career has gone on, which is sort of, I read them as very pandering, but sort of embracing his audience of steel-toe boot-wearing rock fans that are gathering out in a field and just kind of being together as themselves. And definitely there must be a real appeal in his fan base for these kind of things, because songs like Gonna Know We Were Here and Lights Come On and The Only Way We Know are very much just about we identify with each other and we're out here being us. It reminds me so much of Lights Come On. It's like a song about being at a concert. We back in the speakers. And something about these things where it's kind of appealing to people's lifestyle in this broad sense. Those really rub me the wrong way, because I hate being manipulated, but man, those kind of lyrics rub me the wrong way. That said, I think Jason Aldean does deliver them with solid conviction. I think his voice is pretty good on this song. I just think it's a stupid song. And I hate We Back. It just sounds, I don't know, just sounds stupid. So lyrics I'd give a 3, but the delivery I think is good, so I'll give it a 5 overall. Music and production, this is as rock oriented as every Jason Aldean song. It seems much more interested in being a kind of closer to the rock metal side than to the country side, but it's just that kind of loud rock sound, very electric guitar heavy. I mean, this is his sound. They've never kind of aired from it, even when he's gone, maybe with Burning It Down and maybe with You Make It Easy. He's kind of veered from it, but on the whole, this is classic Jason Aldean sound, which I find really obnoxious. But then I was never a big rock fan. But we can give the music also 5. Let's give it a 5.5, because I like the electric guitar. And then X Factor, I'll give it a 1. I don't know why they released this so quickly. There was just no lead up to it, and they just dropped 4 songs. He might be starting to feel like the ticking clock on just his viability on country radio, so he's putting out a lot of stuff. And overall, that would give this an 11.5 out of 25, which seems harsh, but whatever. And then the last one isn't even a single, but so many of you guys want me to cover it, so I'm just gonna throw it into this video, and it's One Too Many by Luke Combs. Don't stop me once I get going, put a can in my even if something's just a promo track from Luke Combs, at this point, it is basically a single because he's so popular and everything he touches turns to gold. So I'm going to cover it. This song is a ton of fun. It's featuring Brooks and Dunn, and it feels very Brooks and Dunnish. This feels straight out of the 90s. It feels like a real honky tonker. I mean, you got the drums on it are so good, and we go poof, poof, poof. It's like this perfect melding of pop, rock, honky tonk bliss. The steel is on there, the guitar is on there, and then just the incredibly fun wordplay. Everything about this song is fun. The sing-along factor of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 too many is hilarious. Then the countdown from the clock and the girl that gives him a wink. It's all the fact that we're going through time as the song goes on. This is stupid in the right way. This is stupid in the smartest way. And it's completely appealing, and you're lying if you say that it's not. Lyrically, I don't think it's saying too much, but I think the way that it says it is really funny, as I said. I think there's a lot of structural elements to how the song works that make it giddy. And if it's what it's lacking in maybe some sort of brilliance in its lyrics, it's making up for in brilliance in its song structure. So I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10 because I also think he delivers it really well. So lyrics and delivery, 7.5. Music, it just sounds awesome. I mean, I love how you really can find a moment in this song where it's like, wow, I really loved that drum fill. Wow, I really loved that steel guitar little flourish. Wow, I really loved that electric guitar solo during the bridge. There's just these moments where you're really focused on how much you enjoy the instruments. I think it all works together into this kind of wonderfully raucous song. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And then X Factor, I'll give it 3.5 because it's not a single, so it's not going to get too high of a score, but then it's got Brooks and Dunn on it, that's interesting, and then the fact that it's Luke Combs, and he's the king of the world right now in country music, and I'd say a pretty good one, that's interesting too. So overall, it gets 19 out of 25. So that makes the overall rankings. In 6th place, Jason Aldean. Tied for 4th place is Kelsea Ballerini and Parker McCollum. In 3rd place, Little Big Town. In 2nd place, Luke Combs. And then coming out victorious at number 1 is Ashley McBryde with One Night Standards. I just thought this would be a fun way to go through some of these new singles. Let me know your guys' thoughts on them. And yeah, comment down below what you liked. Hit subscribe, hit the bell. Yeah, all that stuff. I love you guys. Ton of stuff coming up soon. So I'll see ya.